course, the other reason you want to keep turning it is so that things like mice don't take up permanent residence in it.
Permanent residence?
Because it's lovely and warm. It's a nice old home for them.
Well, you got mice living in here?
Not in here, no. I chased them all out before you come along. There's none in here now.
Okay.
If there is, they've moved in since I did it.
That's it. I'm on it.
This will have another 2 or 3 weeks just to settle down. If it does, I might put a bit more compost if it sinks too much. And then we'll be planting our marrows in it. Today I've had a bit of a problem. I realised that 2 of my climbing fruits are not thriving. I don't really know why, but I suspect it's the position they're in. Because this is a mountainside and there's so much rock, it's possible there's too much drainage underneath them. Because it seems to be at fruiting time, they just die off. So I've decided to dig them up. I'm going to put them in 2 black pots and see if this helps them. I've drilled holes in the bottom. So what I'm going to do first off is I've got just some polystyrene waste material from a delivery that I'm going to use. I'm just going to put some of that in the bottom of both of them to protect the drainage holes so they don't get filled up with soil. So it's just a small layer in the bottom of both of them. Just about that much. When you've done that, what I like to do is put some of this on it. Is ideal to put in the bottom. In here now we've got a layer of this broken down wood, which is a form of hugelkultur, I think, Hugelkultur, I believe. What this does is it has all the microbiology in it you could want to start your plant. There's lots of good stuff in there. Apart from that, it will hold the water, and it's a much better way of having a reservoir at the bottom of your pots. On a larger scale, if you did this for deep beds, you could lay great big logs in it. Just put your soil on top of them. It's a really wonderful way of doing this. Then on top of that, we want some compost. This is homemade compost. Could really plant them straight into that, but I want to give them a bit of soil as well because they are going to be going into the soil eventually. So it's got polystyrene in the bottom for the drainage holes, and it's got the rotten wood for microfungi and all the other stuff that these plants need to feed on. Then it's got a layer of compost on top of that. So this is all one layer feeding the next layer. Now we're going to put some soil and compost mix together on top. This is a mix of soil and compost. What I have here is the tayberry. You see how spindly it is, and it's been like that for a couple of years really. So what I'm going to do is cut it down a bit because I don't want that many stems on it in the pot. I want to feed this rootstock, which you can see has struggled. So I'm going to check to see if there's any broken roots, because that will just put added burden on the plant as it's trying to get rid of them. It doesn't look too bad actually, but you see how in the centre there, it's just, that's why it wasn't growing. You wouldn't normally do this, you'd want them to grow about 6 foot tall, but as I'm trying to help this recover, and then I'm going to cut that one to there. So now I've got 2 strong leaders coming off of it with these bits on the side. I'll probably take fruit off if it does fruit this year, because I want it to, as I say, build up this rootstock. Now I'll give it a good water to settle it in. I should probably plant a few flowers around it as well, but not just yet. Now I've just got to do the second one. Oh, that's a shame. Ooh, polytunnel. If we was to put this in like that, it would get rocked all over the place. And it wouldn't be doing what I want, which is building up this rootstock. So, I am very sorry, Blackberry. Now, just give them a good watering and I can watch how they go. So, top tip for you, what would be the wisest course of action is to actually place these in the positions you intend to keep them for the next year before you fill it up with all the soil, wood and compost, because they weigh a ton. Well, I hope that's been informative for you and you don't make the mistake I did and plant your climbing fruit canes in the wrong position as I did. Make sure that it's in a good spot straight away, because these will last for years and they will provide you with pounds of fruit if you treat them right, which I haven't been doing, but I will from now on.
Question for this week is, say for instance that someone had too much garden space
Too much.
and didn't know where to begin,
Right.
what would your advice for them be?
Well, first of all, congratulations that you've got too much garden space. It can be really daunting when you take over land of any size, be it a new house plot that's been left by builders or 10 acres even. I mean, where would you start? Usually people start from their house and work out, because if you're planting flowers, you're growing veg, you want it easily accessible. So start from your house, look out the windows, which is the best view of your garden for you.
Right.
Aim for that direction. Ignore how big it is. I mean, you can have an overall plan of what you want to end up with, but ignore the huge space to start with, because it can just stop you doing anything at all.
Right.
And just concentrate on a small area. Decide what you want to do. Do you want to make a flower bed? Do you want to make a vegetable plot? Plant trees, an orchard? Do you want to do a pond? Really, whatever you want to do, which is of prime importance to you, concentrate on that first.
What if you don't have the right tools and don't have much knowledge about how to cultivate it? What would your advice be then?
Right, the right tools. There are so many things on the market now, but basically all you need is a digging spade and a digging fork and a trowel. If you've got those, you don't really have to worry about much else. But if you're a person that maybe can't dig, a good way to do it now is the no-dig method of gardening. This is a very popular method now with people. Mark out an area the size that you need for your vegetable plot, flower bed, deep bed, whatever. Cut down grass, weeds, as best as you can, as low as you can get them, and then gather all that up and put that on a compost heap. Then you get something to exclude light, something like cardboard, for example. I know people used to use things like plastic or tarpaulins. They used to use a lot of black plastic and tarpaulins, old carpets. Plastic is less in favour nowadays. Things like carpets, whereas donkeys years ago you could have used them, nowadays they have so many chemicals and dyes on them that it's not advisable to actually use them on your garden, because it would damage anything you grew in it anyway. So probably the best thing you can go for is something like cardboard. If you can get access to cardboard, save it up. You know, I do in my garden. Save the cardboard up. You could use old newspapers if you have wadges of newspapers, but I'm not sure how you'd get away with the print dyes and that, so you'd have to check that up. You lay that out to the shape you want, and then you would cover that with something like, if you have compost, if you've got loads of it that you've been saving for years and not knowing what to do with it, just pile it on top. You need a good deep layer, perhaps about, well, as much as you can put on there really is what you need. If you haven't got compost and you've got access to something like horse manure, well, I would say that's even better. I'd love that. So pile that up on it, especially if it's well rotted. That would be fantastic. You could use things like wood chip, but you would need to make sure that it's like a natural wood chip from a sawmill rather than from things like glued together boards and stuff. You don't want any chemicals or poisons on this. You want it as clean as you get it. You could use leaves. I mean, maybe you're someone that scraped leaves up for years and don't know what to do with it. It's a fabulous compost. Pile that on top of your cardboard. Then you've got something like the awful soil underneath that's never been cultivated. Then you've got this deep layer of either compost, horse manure, leaves, wood chip, or a mixture of all of it. It doesn't have to be one or the other, it can be all of it. You want a deep layer of it, and then you just leave it in a pile on top. So long as the light's excluded, the weeds will die off. And then if you can get something like a horticultural membrane that they plant through to go over the top, it will stop it blowing away, and you could actually then plant straight away into it. People put potatoes, for example, under that, so you could get a crop this year. But basically, that method, it's going to take a while, but it is a good way if you can't dig, if you've got nothing else you can do at this moment. Just concentrate on an area you think you're going to be able to manage and that you've got enough cardboard and compost to cover. And then the next year or the next time you've got some, do another little area. Just look at it as manageable pieces, and you'll find over time you'll get more and more tools and you'll be able to manage it. Well, that's it from Valerie at the Highland Homestead today. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Bye for now.